Hey everybody, it's hwsteele and today is July 20th, 2022, and in this video, this is going to be a short one today. I want to talk to you about something that doesn't really get talked about a whole lot in the trading world, and that is your stress levels. And more accurately, we could think of it as an emotional reserve. Everybody has an emotional reserve, kind of like a gas tank filled up with emotional ability. And the reality of the situation is when you have a positive emotional response or a negative emotional response, you're taking something out of your emotional reserve tank. And eventually that tank's going to get, it's going to be empty. And when that happens, because you don't have the emotional reserves that you used to, you can become very irritable. You start getting cloudy in your thought process. You don't make good decisions. It's just not a good place for a human being to be, is at or near empty of your emotional reserve tank. So this is something that you have to take into consideration when you're trading. If you're a person who decides they're going to day trade and wants to trade for a living, you need to understand that the entire time you're trading, that removes emotional reserves from you. It doesn't matter if almost every trade that you make is a winner and you only lose every once in a great while. Even the good stuff take an emotional toll on you and can remove emotional reserves. Now, the thing is, the negative stuff tends to take way more out of your emotional reserves, but realize that your emotional reserves also go to your positive emotional experiences. It's any emotional experience. Any emotional experience removes from your emotional reserves. And then you need things like sleeping. The better you sleep, the more your emotional reserves will be filled while you sleep. The better your diet is, the more that helps strengthen your emotional reserves. Spending some time in quiet, secluded places, meditating or exercising or going for a walk, a bike ride, something like that. Finding a hobby like this, photography. I took this picture several years ago at the Fort Worth Botanical Garden, which is a really nice place to go and just relax and enjoy without much of any kind of stress at all. Just kind of find your center, so to speak. So you really need to make sure, if you're going to trade, especially if you're going to be like a day trader, something along those lines, you need to make sure that your emotional reserve tank has some emotional gas in it, so to speak. Because if you don't, you're already stacking the deck against you. So my advice is that you spend some time in consideration of your emotions and your emotional reserve and find ways to exercise your emotional reserve, because you can actually increase it over time, just like you can increase your strength by exercising your body. You can increase your emotional reserves. But definitely keep these in consideration. Keep this in consideration while trading. And don't trade if you're emotionally exhausted. You're going to be much more likely to make bad decisions. So be willing to step away from the computer and say, you know what, I don't have it in me to trade properly today. And then figure out what you might need to do or change in your life so that you have more emotional reserves available for you to be able to trade. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. Like I said, this is a shorter one today, but I did want to cover this topic, and I'll probably bring it up from time to time again because this is something that is extremely important to be able to trade well. So until next time, this is hwsteele, and I'll talk to you later.